today's gear day. All right, people, I'm Garrett. This is Making Movies, and today we're talking about one of my favorite topics. We're talking about gear. I don't feel like I need to explain anything more than that. These are things that have been sent to me, things that I think are kind of cool or have the potential to be cool. We will find out. The first one I want to talk about is this thing. This is the Accsoon Cine Eye, or Cine Eye, I'm not entirely sure, but it is a HD wireless transmitter system. This comes in at, I believe, $220, which of course, if you know anything about wireless transmission systems, they cost a lot more than that. Teradek's running somewhere around the $3,000 to $6,000 range. Now, I'm not going to tell you that this can do everything that can, but for $220, it's pretty interesting. On the end here, we have an HDMI input. We have next to that a power button. We have on the front, this logo actually will light up different colors depending on whether you're connected or it's trying to connect or you have a video signal in. We'll go over that in a second. And then 4 little diodes across the front. These little lights show your battery. It does have internal battery. I believe it lasts a couple hours, but it also does have USB Type-C for both charging and AC power if you wanted to power it off of a bigger camera rig. On the bottom, there's a 1/4-20 thread, which is great. On the top, there are these 2 folding antennae. It's an entirely metal build. The construction quality of it feels really, really solid. These, I believe, are a hard plastic, but all in all, very, very sturdy, very, very secure. The reason they're able to keep costs down is that this works via Wi-Fi, so there's no receiver unit. This would be something that would work with iPhones, iPads, those kind of things via an app. Take an HDMI input from your camera, and you would plug it into the side here, and you would hold down the power button. Once you have this connected via HDMI, you will see that this light will begin to illuminate. That will let you know that it's connected and it's getting a video source in. One of the really cool things about this is that you can connect up to 4 iOS devices at any given point in time. If you needed the director to have a monitor, Video Village to have a monitor, and a couple of other folks on set, you could stream this to several devices all at once, which is really, really cool. So I'm going to show you how this works. This sends out a Wi-Fi signal, so you'll go into your settings and you will connect this via Wi-Fi, at which point you will open up the Accsoon app. I was a little confused about which app I was supposed to download. The instructions weren't that clear. They only have one app in the App Store, and it is for their Gimbal, the A1 series Gimbal here. So I reached out to them and they told me that it's the same app for both devices, works very similarly to like the DJI app, to where if you swipe over, you'll then see that it works with the Cine Eye. Once you're connected to the Wi-Fi and you have the app downloaded, you can punch this button here and it will pull up this UI. And then the bottom corner here, there is an on button. So if I push on, it now will display everything that this is transmitting. Now you can see here as I move, isn't this fun? That there's a bit of delay. And for me and the kind of stuff that I shoot, the delay is such that I don't know if I could use it as a focus pulling, wireless focus pulling system. I could probably use it if I was doing basic interview type stuff to where I needed to have a monitor closer to me or I was pulling focus off camera. But if it's anything other than something that's pretty stationary and pretty stagnant, I don't think that this would work for that. That said, I think that this is a perfect director's monitor for somebody who's on a budget. This is super small, super compact. It's not going to add a lot to your camera kit, and it gives you a lot of really, really cool functionality built into the app. I can screen record so I can kind of get good reference stuff. Apparently there's a way that you can load LUTs into this. I haven't quite figured out how that works just yet. You have histograms, colors, all of that kind of stuff that you would have in a more premium system built in, which turns an iPad like this into something that more closely resembles a production monitor. I would love it if the range was a little bit better. I would love it if it kept connection a little bit stronger. But all in all, I'm super, super impressed. And for 220 bucks, having a sweet director's monitor that's wireless off camera, whether it is for you or to show a client or to show, you know, somebody else, having that flexibility and freedom is something that is really, really, really cool. This is a waterproof, internal battery powered bicolor LED light. On the front here we have 6 LED diodes. 3 of them are daylight balanced, 3 of them are tungsten balanced. On the bottom here we have the contact charger, so again you can charge this device up without having to open any ports or things like that, keeping it waterproof. The center is the power button. Oh, I guess I have that. Okay, so the top's the charging, bottom's the logo, and the middle is the power button. This is also Bluetooth, so there is an app that goes with the phone and allows you to connect directly to this light from your phone, giving you a bunch of controls and like really, really specific controls that you can dial in, because there is only one button on this, so kind of learning like the button mapping of holds versus presses and the numbers of that get kind of weird. But what you're gonna do is when you push the button, the blue light's gonna come on, and then you have to wait, I believe it's like 3 or 4 seconds for it to really kind of kick in, at which point in the app, you'll then see the device in question. So we can then connect to this device. It then shows us the battery levels, the brightness, color, temperature, status of the light, all of that stuff here. From the app here, I have the ability to turn on what they have as cold light or warm light. Again, tungsten, daylight. They're balanced pretty well. And if I go cold light, I have the ability to dial this down. I have a dimmer and I can dial it all the way up. This is 100% brightness on cold. I again have the same controls for warm, where I can dial it down, dial it up, or if I wanted to have extra brightness, I of course could turn both sets on. I now have a mixed light, but it is brighter because of course all 6 LEDs are working. I then do have touch controls to where I can I don't know, I could add music to that or something later. Now this light is very dramatic and very harsh, of course, because they're just diodes behind glass here. So they give you some options to really dial it back. With the light, it comes with this sweet little filter tray. Goes right on top like this. There's a tray there, holds it in front there, and with it, it ships the USB charging cable, again, a contact charger so it stays wireless. And then it comes with a diffusion plastic. It's just a very basic plastic thing, but you can sit that right in the tray like so. We then get a fair amount of diffusion on this light. So that's something that ships with it, which is super cool. In addition to that, they sent me a color filter set. And it looks like it comes with just a bunch of colors that are the same kind of thing, and then a light dome of some kind. Okay, yeah. So there is a light dome, which instead of having just this flat diffusion, I can then kind of put this, oh, and it locks in. Oh, that's kind of cool. So it does, it locks in, that's sweet. Like that, and then of course, if I power this on, not only do I have diffusion, but I have this nice bulb, so it's giving me something that's less directional, which is sweet. And then there are this series of filters. It looks like I have an orange, a yellow, a green, a blue, and a red. Let's turn this off. Okay, so there's blue. Pull that off. God, that's bright. Oh boy. That's very dramatic. Green. I don't recommend looking into this light, by the way. It is very, very bright. Yellow, orange. There we go. And then of course here is that diffusion bulb that we were talking about here. A really, really strong fair amount of light that comes off of this, something that is really, really sweet. And for the price point, it's pretty unbelievable. It's 80 bucks all in, which is really good. Again, it's waterproof. How waterproof is this? Waterproof up to 35 feet and 2 hours of battery life. It is iOS and Android compatible. Oh yeah, but one other thing that's cool about this that I forgot is that it's magnetic, and it comes with this little M3 magnet disc, you have this 1/4-20 that you can use to put it on a camera rig, but also if you're trying to get it into a weird spot, anything that's magnetized, you can fit it to, and it does come with this cool little disc. And the filter set costs a grand total of $10. So I can see this being used in a pinch if you're in a dark spot and you need to light something up around you. You could use this as a principal, I guess, as an on-camera light. Probably not how I would use this. Having bicolor, internal battery, Bluetooth, waterproof, and filters for $80 makes this, to me, a no-brainer. I really dig this light. I just gotta figure out how I'm gonna use it. The company is actually called FiFine. It's not spelled FiFine, and I did double check with them to make sure that I was saying it properly, but it's FiFine is the name of this brand, not a company I had heard of before. This is a USB microphone. It's pretty straightforward. It comes with the mic. On the mic there is a volume dial. I'm assuming that that is record volume. Oh, there's a headphone jack in the back of it. There's that. It's got this cool little mount that it comes with it. It's a USB microphone because it plugs directly into your computer. It comes with this cable. Feels pretty well built. The connectors feel pretty robust and strong. It has a compartmentalized stand and then some adapter. All right, that's it. Oh, by the way, this microphone setup is $48. So again, super affordable microphone depending on what you're doing. Let's see what this sounds like. This is how this microphone sounds. If you're just starting out, if you're doing streaming or gaming or have, a video podcast, that kind of thing, and you're on a real budget, I definitely could see this as being a budget-friendly option. It's really metallic in the high tones. I'm not an audio nerd, but this is just the things that I'm hearing. It does have a cool little blue light on the inside. I don't know if you can see. Can you see that? But it is USB. It's super easy to set up, super easy to work with. If you're on a budget and you're just looking to start with a microphone, this might be a good place for you. I can't see myself using something like this, but your needs obviously could be very different from mine. While we're on the topic of mics, the next ones are these. This is the RØDE Videomic Me, or the Me L. I have been told that both of these mics are engineered for iOS devices specifically. Android, apparently there's a certain level of quality control. It works with some models, not others. I don't want to steer you in a direction of saying this will work really great for Android, when in fact it may or may not, depending on your device. But these are both for iOS devices specifically, and they're on camera mics. One has a headphone jack and then the other one works via lightning port. They both work the exact same way. They both come with the exact same stuff. Really the main difference, of course, is the port itself. Okay, in each of these you have the microphone. The microphone looks like this. If you have the Video Micro, it will look somewhat familiar. The front half kind of looks the exact same. I don't know if it's the same hardware inside. You have your lightning port and you have your headphone jack, or your auxiliary port. On the back, they both have headphone jack outs, so then of course you can monitor your audio. But the biggest issue I have found with recording video on your phones is not the video quality. The video quality that comes off of phones is pretty incredible, especially considering the medium, but the audio is always terrible. So having a device like this connected to it is a way to ensure that you're going to have much better sounding audio coming off of what you're shooting with your phone. They do both come with a dead cat. This is, of course, if you were shooting outdoors, it would be a way to insulate your microphone from the wind. That's kind of fun looking, but then I'm able to record what I want with my phone, having good directional audio off of this. Whether you have a phone with a headphone jack or not, you have the ability to work with that. The other nice thing about this is that it has the ability to turn both directions. So if you are going to be vlogging or doing IG stories and that kind of stuff, this is a cool way of getting good audio, even if you're shooting in selfie mode, if you will. The last thing each one of these comes with is a stabilizer. What these do is they help stabilize the microphone onto the phone. So they slide on like this. They slide onto the device like this, and it helps rest against the back of the phone, keeping the connection nice and tight, because of course we are adding a lot of area to the front here, and we don't want to bend either this jack or the port in the actual phone itself. So both of them have a version of that. The Rode Videomic Me, the one with the headphone jack, is $60, and the Me L, the Rode Videomic Me L, which is the one with the lightning port, hence the L, is $80. Like everything else, we need to know how it sounds, so I'm going to connect it to my phone here, cinch that on there like so, and now I'm just going to record a little bit so that way you can hear the difference between the two. So if I push record, granted, I understand that we're using the front camera, not the good camera, and I'm sweaty, so, you know, you can see that I'm peaking. It auto connects to this. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to change any settings. But this is a directional microphone using my voice, so then that way you can understand how it sounds. Very repetitive. That was not my best work. But if I disconnect this and I keep this recording going, now you can hear how it sounds with just using the internal microphone in the phone itself. It's obviously not as good. You get a lot more of the room sounds, and I sound a little bit more metallic and tinny. So you can see just in this little example, in a controlled studio environment, how much of a difference that makes. Just imagine how big of a difference it would be if we were out in the real world. Speaking of phones, the last thing I want to talk about might be the coolest. Moza sent me this. This is their smartphone gimbal, the Mini S Essential smartphone gimbal, not to be confused. All gimbals are incredible now, and they all do a fine job. Moza came in with this guy, and this one I believe is $80. It can do everything that the rest of them can. I haven't seen anything come out of those smartphones, or smartphone gimbals rather, that can do anything that this couldn't do, and $80 instead of $120, $150, $300 is a huge deal. Boom. Comes with instructions, carrying pouch, little flippy stand, gimbal, a couple of cables. Okay. One of the things I like about this is the fact that it is collapsible. Some of these are so big and bulky that they require cases. This has a little lock mechanism in the front that I pull it back, and this rotates up like that, and then of course this unlocks and gives me the ability to put my phone on it. It has a 1/4-20 here on the bottom, which presumably goes, it has this kind of cool lean to it, and then you just adjust the placement of it until you get the phone balanced. There is a power button. Yeah, this little red button is the power button. Hold that guy down and we're off to the races. Now, like everybody else, there's an app that goes with this. I wouldn't really use the app for it. I really like how Filmic Pro works, love the UI, love how that functions, but it does give me a lot of this really, really cool functionality to it. I also have this thumbstick controller, which gives me the ability to pan, tilt, and rotate. If I do decide to use the app, there is a telephoto and wide toggle here, so I can actually zoom in and out with this. I have the trigger here, which is my recenter and function trigger, and then I do have a series of controls here. Again, if I'm using the app, it can connect to this via Bluetooth, and then I get access to all of the menus and controls and things like that there. Otherwise, it would just be this really sweet cinematic gimbal. You do also have the ability to charge this via USB-C here, and it does seem as though that there is a connection port here that plugs in headphone jack and then into the base of the gimbal there, which I guess if you had a phone with a headphone jack would give you either some level of communication or something. For $80, this thing does everything that I would want a smartphone gimbal to do, namely stabilize my footage. It also, having this joystick is super cool because I can control manually the pan, tilt, and rotation of this. That said, the build quality on this does leave something to be desired for me personally. This is made out of plastic, and I'm sure that probably is how they were able to cut some costs. That said, I like the fact that it collapses. I like that there's not going to be a whole lot of this that is just out in the open. It collapses down into this really tight kit like this, and it does come with this bag. Again, with the build quality, I don't know if I would go throwing this into like my camera backpack. I'd probably want to make sure that it had a designated home, but for the price point, for what this thing can do and for how it packs down, I really, really love it. Anyway, thanks to everybody who sent some stuff. I'd like to keep this gear thing going as a reoccurring segment, so if you are a product manufacturer and you want to send some stuff to me, just shoot me a DM on Instagram. If you love gear as much as I do and thought that this was interesting, give this video a like. If you want to see more gear stuff like this, hit subscribe, and as always, I'll see you in the next episode.